Isn't that what creating a meaningful life is all about, after all? Finding something that we're truly passionate about and being willing to give freely of ourselves in vigorous pursuit of that passion, especially when we stand proudly in front of our own children and grandchildren as shining examples of the spirit of volunteerism and selfless service that this country has become known for. I mean, that's really what it's all about. That's what living is. You know, I had the pleasure of addressing about 200 Belmont students this past September on the subject of a meaningful life, and we focused on the wisdom of pursuing significance as opposed to success. You know, unfortunately, in our society, success has come to be known as the stuff that we collect throughout our lives. You know, what kind of car we drive, where we live, what's our house look like, how many of those red-bottom shoes we have in our closets. Whereas significance, and some of y'all know about those red-bottom shoes, I see. Whereas significance is all about the positive impact we have on others. There's nothing wrong with making money, but you know, there are countless of successful people in our world today who are totally insignificant in the game of life. And I don't know about you, but you know, I want to be considered significant, which was really the driving force behind me taking this position 5.5 years ago. It was part of my own personal journey from success to significance. Now, you know, I shared with those students at Belmont, you know, when we go, we go. I'd like to see a show of hands here of anyone who has seen a funeral procession driving down the road with the hearse and followed by all the cars with their lights on, and also trailing that procession are several semi-tractor trailers full of stuff. All right, good. I was going to get a little concerned if I saw some hands go up there. You know, the point is that, you know, you can't take it with you. And it's not about what you do for yourself, but it's what you do for others. And, you know, I just want to quote my mentor and hero, the late Lowell Perry Sr., who was fond of saying that you make a living by what you do, but you make a life by what you give. You know, I learned so much about my dad at his memorial service a number of years ago, and in this packed church, and there were just scores of people that came up to me and my brother and sister, my mom, and all, and shared stories about what my dad had done in their lives. And, you know, I knew he had helped a lot of people, but I had no idea. And he always did it without any thought of getting anything back in return. And that has stuck with us, all of our family, that remains so committed to helping others. So what will you do today? You know, often taking action is the most difficult part of any journey, especially one to a meaningful life. Martin Luther King once said, you know, you don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. And I challenge everyone in this room this morning, I challenge you to not leave without committing to do something. Whether it's making a financial investment, signing up to be a mentor to a child, referring a friend, offering to host my staff at your place of business or place of worship, to share our story of community impact, or perhaps a combination of some or all of the above. Follow what God lays on your heart today. You know, again, there are scarce few investments that we can make that carry a guaranteed return. And one of those is the investment in our children and youth. So what will you do? The choice will be yours. And I think that you'll enjoy the experience this morning. So thanks again for coming out. And let's get rolling with this show today.